Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Zoe, and you're listening to Climbing in Heels. This show is all about celebrating the most extraordinary superwomen who will be sharing their incredible journeys to the top, all while staying glamorous. Today's guest, my dear friend, Tina Craig, is a multi-hyphenate of the craziest kind, an entrepreneur and pioneer of influencer marketing, and of course, luxury skincare. If you could see her skin right now, I promise you, she actually lives what she preaches. After originally garnering a following as a television host with a rich media background, she launched BagSnob in 2005, one of the first ever fashion and lifestyle blogs. A consummate beauty and lifestyle authority, Tina was inspired to launch U Beauty with the belief that achieving beautiful skin doesn't need to be complicated. Tina's hunger and skill for spotting the next big opportunity is truly next level, and she's an absolute trailblazer in so many spaces as an influencer, blogger, and entrepreneur, and I'm so excited to call her my friend and have her on the show. Welcome to Works For Us, beautiful Tina. So Roger's not here because, you know, I like doing, like, when I talk to badass women, I just feel like he doesn't have a chance in the room right now. So
that's right.
I just felt like, and he's on a work trip for the day. And I was like, I don't really want you involved in my conversation with Tina anyway. So, you know.
So we could be having a free-for-all gossip session.
Exactly.
You can listen to the podcast.
Well, before we go down like your incredible journey and how you became sort of the powerhouse that you are now, I can't remember, but I feel like for some reason you will, how we met for the first time. Was it with Jen Meyer? I can't remember.
No, 10 years ago, you came to Dallas.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. I forgot
Downing House. Our friend who was the most fabulous man. And he at the time was the head of Neiman Marcus marketing events. And he had an event for you in his gorgeous home. It's a mid-century modern, all glass, and a tornado hit. And I had just met you, and
oh my God,
always been a fan. And we went they put us in the pantry.
Yep.
And you were literally having 10 gorillas, 5 kangaroos, and you were going, I get that from Kathy Hilton. She says these things all the time. And you looked at me and you were almost crying and you said, I just had a baby. I've never left my baby. I shouldn't have left. I can't die. And Joey was with us, the three of us in the pantry. And I'm like, I know how you feel. I never left. When I had my son, I did not go anywhere without him for 3 years.
Yeah, same.
Mm-hmm. And that's how we met. And I remember we were like, is it safe to go in the kitchen? We were literally locked up in this pantry. And Ken's like, it's just a thunderstorm, girls. I'm like, no, it's a tornado. And we're in a glass
and I think I was like so emotional because I think it was just literally like I was breastfeeding. It was 3 months and I had never left his side. And I had to do this appearance because I just launched my collection. I wanted to do it. I was contemplating, do I bring him, like whatever. And I remember when this happened and everything was going great. I mean, I was about to go back to the hotel and leave the next morning. And I was pumping, I remember, in the hotel. And then I literally remember, God, I'm so happy that you remember and reminded me of that night because it was an extraordinary night for me because I hadn't left my child. And I remember you looking at me like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And you looked so gorgeous. You were fully decked in a look. And
fully
I was
decked.
like,
I love Dallas.
Decked. Oh my God.
Dallas loves women like you and me. Yeah. We can dress up in our sparkles all the time.
Totally. Everyone has a blowout.
Exactly.
It's such a chic place. And I will
Lashes
never forget
on,
that.
baby.
God. And I literally thought I was going to die. That was the thing. Like, I'm like, I just had a baby. I've never been in a tornado. This is someone trying to tell me like, maybe I'm not supposed to be a mom. This is crazy. Like I went so dark. I think like my hormones were just.
I remember. And Joey finally left us. He was like, I'm going out to have more drinks.
Oh my God.
You and I sat in there in that pantry. And then we sat at the kitchen table. We kind of looked around. We were scared shitless because my son was probably 6 at the time and you had a newborn. And, you know, but
that is so crazy. Oh my God. So that was exactly 10 years ago, maybe even more, like 10 and a half, but
10 and a half. And I used to always travel with my son until like he was about 2.5. And I went to this beauty luncheon with Sarah Brown, who at the time was like the head of beauty at Vogue for years and years. Now she's at Violet Grey. and we were at lunch. And after the lunch, she's like, are we going to go, where are we going? Da, da, da. And I was like, oh no, I got to go back to the hotel. My toddler's with me. And she looked at me and she said, why do you bring him everywhere with you? Like, why do you travel with him? And I said, because what if something happens to me and the plane goes down, or I get in a car wreck and I'm traveling? She goes, so it's better your baby goes down with you. And I looked at her and I was like, okay, I'm never taking.
No, I know. It's these, by the way, and I think it's important to share. Here's the thing. I think it's important to share with our listeners that every working parent has these questions, especially a new parent. I think, and being these like crazy workaholics that we have always been, I think when you have your first child, you're like, okay, I'm just not going to leave him. I'm going to keep working. I just bring him wherever I go. But I think there's those moments where you contemplate, is this better or worse for him and me? Like I struggled with that for probably 4 or 5 years with like when I first had Sky, and it's still a question, but now they're older and, more independent. But I think every working parent, especially new parents, I think goes, is it better to leave? Is it better to stay? Is it better to separate and compartmentalize? Is it better to just merge the two? I think there's no right answer.
I feel like dads don't have that issue.
They don't.
We do. We constantly like, we're like, okay, do we take them? Do we leave them home? Is it worse if they're traveling around the world with us, or are they experiencing things? But my son doesn't remember that he had been to 13 countries.
Of course.
By the time he was 4 years old.
That
he, at 5 years old, Milan Fashion Week, we land and he'll look around. He goes, oh, Milan. Okay, mommy, chase pigeons and pizza. Like he knew exactly what he wanted to do.
By the way, Skylar did the same. They chase pigeons they could never catch.
Pigeons at Duomo. Yeah. To this day, he's like, I will never go to Milan again. My mom would leave me with a nanny at Duomo chasing pigeons. It was misery. And I'm like, what?
Greg, what do you mean? I was the best mom. I took you everywhere.
I was the best mom, yeah. But I made up for it. I took him to Chiara Ferragni's wedding in Sicily. I took him out of school. At that point, he was 13 and he loves Fedez. And so that made up for everything I've ever done to him, he said.
They are the best couple. They are literally like royalty. And such nice people. And I'm so happy for them. But, I want to talk about that because Chiara, I mean, you were, people, as you know, people always say like, oh, Rachel's the OG, whatever, influencer. Yeah. She's at the time, I obviously, and even now still, I don't think of myself as a influencer. But I think you were without question, the first, I mean, I think it was probably 2005, pre-social media, right? Everything.
It was MySpace.
Right. And I think it's really important to talk about, because you told me your story fairly recently and I just sat there kind of frozen, like how you came over, how your parents were here, how you were like, what made you wake up and say, I want to start blogging at fashion shows. I want to start covering this. I don't even know what that means right now, but like, this is what I want to do. So what even like gives you that thought, honestly?
When I started the blog, so my son was born in 2004 and in October, and a few months later, in 2005, I realized I didn't want to go back to work. I had a really difficult time conceiving, but then there was this stigma of being a stay-at-home mom. You're not doing anything,
right?
And at the time, I was an MTV VJ for MTV Asia. I had several talk shows and television in China and Taiwan. So I came back to the US, got married, had a baby, found myself living in Texas suburbs, and said to myself, I don't want to go back to work. I don't want to leave this baby. I don't want him to grow up not knowing me and knowing like a nanny. And I was shopping all the time because I was hanging out with Ken Downing. And I'm like,
the perfect marriage, by the way, you and Ken Downing.
Yes, by the way, when I moved here, no one was happier than him and I hanging out together all the time and missing so much. And I'd go to luncheons with Michael Kors or Oscar or Donna or DVF. And I thought, I have access to all of these people, I should interview them or something. But really at the time, I was just sending my college best friend in Cambridge a lot of bags from Neiman's, and I would call their house. And her husband is a software engineer. And at the time in 2005, he called me because, voicemails, you saw those machines. And he said, what kind of psychopath calls someone's home and leaves a 20-minute message about fashion that you met somebody and there's a sale and there's a bag? Why don't you guys start a blog? And so it was really his idea. And we said, okay, what's a blog? And he said, it's a journal basically, and it's online. You can have this conversation together and leave me out of it. And I was
Right.
like, okay, great. So it was this little private, we were no name, anonymous. And, you know, he's like, call it BagSnob. You guys are such snobs. And $20, $10 to buy the name, $10 for the domain hosting. And then he threw up some Google ads. And within 2 months, we made $400. And both of us, I went to USC, I have an international finance degree, and she was in the entrepreneur program. We both said, well, I said, because I'm so ambitious, I was like, you can make money on this little journal that we have. Wait a minute, hold up. So I called Ken and Neiman Marcus, and I said, why don't you buy an ad on my website? And they're like, okay, what they didn't even have a website yet. And then it just started it was very organic. It was just because it was so much fun. I loved it. I loved talking about fashion, and people started asking questions because, you know, imagine 2005 and you're looking up Chanel bag or a Birkin, and there's nothing out there except for this little blog would come up called BagSnob. People from London, you know, Vogue editors, Alexander Schulman really discovered us and did this whole huge article in British Vogue about us back in 2005 or 2006.
I love
because
her.
There was nothing out there. I love her.
She's amazing.
But, you know, right place, right time, I always say, but we also had this voice, very sassy, and people could tell that I came from a place of experience, expertise, because we've been obsessed with bags. That's how we met. We would buy each other Prada bags in college at USC and tell our parents, like, well, she bought me a bag, I have to buy her one bag. And that's how BagSnob started. It was purely out of a love of not only fashion, but my child. I didn't want to go back to work. And it was a way for me to stay home, stay creative. I blogged next to his crib, holding his hand so he would nap. And so to this day, when he can't sleep, he opens his laptop. The hum of a computer knocks him out like that.
Oh
He's 17 years old.
You see, this is it. This is so important because I think in talking, you know, the reason, again, I didn't want Roger on today because why? No, I'm just kidding. But it's because I do think it's really important. And I think, and we're going to get into that in a minute, but like how important it is because we do focus on relationships, having that relationship with yourself is, I think, something as women and especially career-driven mothers, we struggle with that. We are constantly, people always ask me like, how do you do it all? How do you make it look so easy? I'm like, no, none of this is easy. A and B, there is not a minute in a day that I don't have an internal struggle about where does my attention and focus go, or like a weekend when I desperately just need like to sleep for 2 hours, but then I'll miss time with my kids and it's the weekend, and you know, and you always pick them, right? You never pick yourself. So I think it's that relationship. And I think, you know, something I want to talk to you about is sort of like, okay, so at what point did you realize that you had this like major business, that you were going to turn it into a brand, and that you were going to launch U Beauty? Because were you just like, everyone stops me about my skin, so I need to do something about it?
No, I was never going to do a skincare brand. I thought the world had too many skincare brands, first of all, and I didn't think it needed any more noise. And I think because it was really hard for me in the beginning when we started BagSnob. Nobody wanted to talk to us, and people were like, "What's a blog? No, you can't come to Prada show." I remember calling Ricky DeSole, cold calling her, "Prada, hi, can I come to the Prada show in Milan? I love Prada, you know." And I fought so hard for my place. And, you know, the first show I went to was Oscar de la Renta, and they seated me. I was like, the first seated show, because I was invited to other shows. They're like, you can stand by that corner, really like behind, just go behind the stage. Don't even come to the front. Oh my God. But I went. Yeah. I always went because I knew, I'm just like, I have to do this. Like, this is something I love doing. And it was so worth it to me because there were so many days and nights where I would be blogging, going, what am I doing? Spending my time fighting for this business, and I'm holding my son, like hoping, and I'm still breastfeeding. I breastfed for almost 2 years. And there's all these moments, but I just thought I'm just going to keep going because it just felt right. Yep. And it gave me something that I really loved and had, I could do. I love my son so much, but I also love myself. Like you said, I was able to do something and I had fun. Yeah. And so I didn't feel guilty having fun because I called it work. Right. Of course. And then it led to a lot, you know, so BagSnob became very well known again, because there's really no other game in town, if I'm being honest. But we had this certain voice that women identified with, and men. And then it segued to Beauty Snob. And I remember flying to New York and attending American Express Forum and listening to Bobby Brown. I remember I bought a ticket and I wanted to, Bobby Brown was like my hero. And I listened to her and Kate Spade. talking on this American Express forum about 14, 15 years ago. And afterwards, I was like, I have to start Beauty Snob because that's really my passion. I love beauty. Skincare is part of my whole life growing up because I wasn't allowed to wear makeup. My grandmother would always tell me, if you have great skin, you have confidence. Best face forward to her was having beautiful, healthy skin, no makeup. And she even said to me, you know, you're really short. You know, typical Chinese grandmother, Jewish grandmothers and Chinese grandmothers really toughened us. She's like, you're really short, but you have really great skin. You're not the prettiest girl here, but you have the best skin and you can go to Harvard. And I'm like, what? Because she said, because you're so confident, you can do anything you want in life. And so that always stayed with me. That good skin is self-confidence. It was beyond like the ego and you know, shallow and skin
Sure.
deep. And so when I started U Beauty, it was because this pursuit of having perfect, healthy, glowy skin, not perfect, but just healthy,
Yeah, of course. To the best that anybody can.
the best, right. And I was the first to write about the 13-step routine on Beauty Snob back in 2006. And Rachel Strugatz called me out on it. She said, well, you started this mess. I'm like, well, I'm going to end this mess. And I would use 20 products in the morning, 20 products at night, 13 steps, and this cosmetic confusion and nonstop waste. And I started creating rosacea and I just, you know, I knew there had to be a better way, a smarter way of going about skincare, and what didn't involve, you know, throwing a new product at a person every week.
Sure.
And, you know, I just read this thing where they said, the reason you have 14-step routines, because it makes you feel like you have control in this chaotic world.
Yeah. Yeah.
You only really need the first 2 steps, cleansing and moisturizing. And then, you know, the other 14 steps is because you feel like you have some semblance of control in this chaos of the world. And so then right. And I linked with my longtime friend and now business partner, Katie. We were having dinner and I knew she was private labeling for 20 years, she'd been private labeling for other brands, and her husband's family had been in the industry for generations. His grandmother was very well known in the beauty space. And so she told me about this technology that her lab, or clinical grade lab in Italy, the biggest one, had developed a technology that can treat the skin where it's damaged and bypass healthy skin cells, basically guaranteeing you not to have irritation and to have like full results, get the glow, you know, get what you want with laser resurfacing without the laser resurfacing, right, without damage and the irritation. And that's when I was like, oh, okay. She said, do you want to try it? Do you want to, you know, make a product? And I just thought it was like being invited to Hermes and make a bag or something, right? I thought I was just making a serum for myself. But because I started handing it to people like you and Nikki, everybody, and Candice Swanepoel and Camila Coelho and Kiara, backstage, front of the house, that people were loving it and giving me really thoughtful feedback. You know, Michelle Lee, and there was Eva Chen, and people were like, oh, just imagine acquiring 100 test humans. I don't test on animals. Test humans. And they all would give super thoughtful feedback based on their own experience with beauty, because they were all experts in their own fields. And that's how you really started. It was also organic. Everything I've ever done in my life, when people are like, did you have a business plan? Did you do this? I always feel so bad. I'm like, I didn't have a plan. I just wanted to make the best product I couldn't find. No, I didn't have a plan. I just wanted to have as much fun as I could.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, we're very similar. We're very, very similar creatures. And I think because we came up in a different time, and I think that because we were pioneer, I don't want to say pioneers. I don't mean to pat us on the back. I just mean like first, because it didn't exist at the time and we were kind of learning as we go. Right. But I think with that, I would say the question I get asked the most is, did you have a plan? Was there goals? Was there this? Was there that? Did you? And I'm like, I want to say yes to you because I want to tell you how to do this, but I honestly can't tell you. It's following gut. It's a situation that feels right. It's when a time feels right to do the next thing, and so on and so on. And I think that we are very similar in that our careers were born out of a passion for a certain thing or many things, and that's the evolution of the brand, right? But
necessity. You're a new mom.
Yes.
You have to do something like if you want to work. If you don't, great. But if you want to work, how do you figure it out where you can still be as attentive at home? I still did all the carpools. I raised my son.
Oh yeah.
But in between, right, we're like doing our things. And because of the internet, we were able to do that.
Yep.
Think of our mothers, our grandmothers. They didn't have those options.
No way. And I think, okay, so it's very important what I think some people may not know, because it's a little more on the inside, is not only were you probably the first fashion influencer, but you have since started Estate 5, which is your own influencer agency, which is so mind-blowing because there's only a handful. There are, I don't think there's anyone who is actually the firstborn influencer who actually has an agency, so that you're so versed in what is needed in each market and influencer marketing. I mean, I think speaking to you is like speaking to like Oz of influencers because, because I think you understand the psychology behind it, the effectiveness of it, what it means to be genuine, because I think there's a lot of stigma put on the word influencer, right? And people are either obsessed with it or they make fun of it, right? I think they look down at it. And I think, what I want to say is I was definitely someone who was a little bit resistant, I would say, in the beginning, because it felt, it was confusing to me a little bit of, and by the way, I don't speak about you in that way because you worked really hard and created something. And I think for me, there's such a clear, distinct group of influencers that stand out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To even today.
Ice cream in the sky, hearts and clouds.
Right. And so I think there's smart people that are building brands. And then I think there's people that are just trying to make money off taking their pictures. Right.
And, the agency really, I was not going to start an agency. I don't want to manage people.
Yeah, of course.
But when I was approached to do this, because I was trying to steal one of my girlfriends, she had an employee who was an attorney from LA who really helped other celebrities like create their digital presence. And when I was about to leave my agency, I thought, I'm just gonna bring someone in-house. And I thought, oh, like Raina James, instead of seeing them as competition, bring them all in and teach them how to monetize.
Right.
And so I love the idea because as a talent, I don't think any other agency has, a partner or a co-founder who's also with the talent,
right,
who can be like, I really get how you feel. And they come to me. I have my girls, like any of them, and guys, they can text me and they're like, I don't feel good about this job. And I'll say, okay, I get it. Don't do it. Like because I know how you like truly can empathize how they feel because I'm there with them. So that side of it is, I think, our advantage. Whereas the other, great agents, everyone brings something really different. Our agency's a boutique agency. And we just opened an office in New York, though. We now have also Studio 5, which we do content creation. And so it's become like full circle for me. But it's been very fulfilling because I have, as I always say, I always find the smartest people to be my partners. So they make me look, they're way smarter than me. They do, right? I just get to do my thing and they figure everything else out. And so Lindsay and Suzanne are my partners, and our agency has just grown so much. We now have 35 managers.
Wow.
We've got over 70 talent. I mean,
that's incredible.
But we're never going to have like 500 talent and 50 of them do great. We want all 50, all 75, each one of those to be a badass and really excel in their space and in very diversified spaces as well. And that's how we started.
We use your talent all the time, by the way.
Thank you.
We use your talent all the time. And
we have some of the highest converters in
that's what she said.
In the world. Like people don't even know, like you could be a mom in Kansas and you're converting like a motherfucker. But people don't even realize that it's not just like, you don't have to be famous.
100%. And also I think it's authentic. And I think that, I think there's sometimes, I think the less famous you are, actually you convert way more because you're more relatable on so many levels. Now I want to speak about, I do want to go back to U Beauty for 1 second, because I want to say, like, I'm such a diehard fan of U Beauty. And like Tina said, I mean, it's clearly a space that is a very full space, beauty. And, but I do think that U Beauty stands out beyond because it is so simple. And to your point, it's so interesting because, I'm such a beauty junkie. Like I really am. And I'm not great at self-care. So I think when you say you only need these 3 items or these 3 or 4 things or these 2 things or whatever it is to transform your skin and it actually works, it's like, wait, hey, but I have 20 things from this brand that I thought I
Right.
couldn't get that skin without using all 20 of these. So I think it's incredible. I also want to mention the arm sculpt. I just need to point that out because
Put it all over your body.
by the way, Nikki and Paris are the ones that actually told me about arm sculpt. It was not even Tina that was like pushing product on me. And they said, oh my God, you have no idea. It's the most amazing product. It like tightens your skin and like da-da-da. I'm like, arm sculpt. Okay, I'll try it. And I decided to just put it everywhere. I was like, I'll put it on my legs.
Oh, everywhere.
I was like,
Especially your neck and chest. Well, that's the thing about U Beauty. What really drove me was to create these multi-purpose, multifunctional products that actually worked. That, you know, the resurfacing compound will give you that laser resurface glow without the damage, but it also replaces 6 to 8 other things.
right.
And
Right.
when people heard that, they're like, yeah, sure, marketing can make, and then they try it. That's why, you know, when we started, we sent out 100,000 samples. We paid for shipping because I'm like, I know if they try it, it's like being a drug dealer. Just give them a taste. They're going to become obsessed. Like anybody I treated everyone as an influencer because I felt even if you are a stay-at-home mom or a career woman, you have 5 friends you'll tell. And
Right.
those 5 friends are going to listen to you. And so
And it worked. And it worked.
Yes. And so we, you know, like we sold out that first 3 weeks when we launched because it works. And it was just that one product.
Amazing.
And then we launched the super hydrator, which has now become like everyone, like Bella Hadid the other day told me, she told her mom about it and then she ran out. So she went to Yolanda's house and stole hers. She's off on her honeymoon, clutching her case of Sculpt in all her U Beauty. She literally ordered a case of each because she was going for 6 weeks. She was worried she'd run out of U Beauty. So she ordered a case of each and literally, you know, went on her plane with all her products.
Oh my God. I mean, listen, here's the thing I want to point out. Like, yes, Tina's talking about obviously very well-known people, but the truth is, I think you should actually use that as a testament to U Beauty because they have access to everything and they get everything for free. And this is what they're choosing. Exactly.
So when the supermodels and the celebrities, you know, and I can't even say some of them because they have huge beauty contracts, they're like, can you just send me some resurfacing compound? I got a photo shoot. I'm like, I got you. Because
amazing.
I'm like, I don't even need you. They're like, you know, I can't tag you. I go, it's fine.
Doesn't matter as long as they use it and they love it.
People always comment on my self-confidence, even though I'm literally always the shortest person in every room, the smallest, but I walk in like, I think I'm a supermodel. I'm always shocked when I see photos of Paris and Nikki with me. I'm like, wait, I thought we were the same height. They were like, what?
Wait, that's amazing.
Still, you're not. Yeah, they're like, you're not our height. I'm like, what? I always think I'm like Candace Montepul's height. And so when friends go, why are your friends so tall? Does not like freak you out? You take photos with supermodel. I'm like, why? No, I look just like them. What? But I see photos. And
By
I'm like,
the way,
I don't look like them.
I need to hang out around you more because I'm constantly like head down when I'm next to my model friends and all of these girls. And I'm like, oh my God. And I go like this and they're like, chin up. I'm like, okay. I'm like, why do I feel like they're mom?
Because you're always the most glam. I mean, everyone see Rachel, she's decked out in her web and her beautiful caftans. The other day I wore a caftan. I was like, she's right. I feel very comfortable.
It does. It feels like you're wearing pajamas. I strongly recommend it. It's like it's like a glamorous robe you get to wear in real life, you know? Okay, so I want to talk quickly about your personal life.
Well, family life. You know, my son, he won't drive. He's 17.
Stop it. Do you know, Tina, when I turned whatever it was, 16 or whatever, I literally was like, give me those keys. I love you.
I drove to San Diego.
Yeah. Girl.
At 18, I was driving to Mexico from LA because he doesn't want to drive. I feel it's really hard. I mean, just wait till teenagers.
No, but this is the third time I've heard this week. I have a friend with a teenage daughter. She doesn't want to get her license. I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. Why? Oh, yeah. But why? Can you explain the psychology? Why?
I think number one,
they're Ubering.
Anxiety. It's so easy to not drive because they have Uber, they have us, and you know, us Gen X moms are like so hands-on helicopter. What do you need?
It's true.
Whereas our Boomer moms are like, what? Where are you going? I don't know. Like they have no idea what's happening. We have to go figure things out ourselves, right?
So true.
And I think the anxiety of driving because there's so many more cars and they're so well aware. We didn't have the internet. We didn't know the car accident statistics.
It's true.
We just got in the car and drove. We didn't even wear seatbelts.
It's true.
right? In
That's
the
true.
beginning. It wasn't until the 90s.
I wore a seatbelt like out of guilt. Like I wore it because I felt like if I don't wear it, something's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I didn't really wear a seatbelt in the beginning. Then I was forced to, because, I didn't want it to tear my outfit.
Oh, it does. It honestly does crush
Right?
the outfit. I basically
I
find
know.
myself going to events holding the
All
seatbelt
those
away from my
ruffles.
body. I know.
Yeah.
It's an issue.
But I think that's why. And then I think it's anxiety and they're scared. My goddaughter just turned 21. She finally got her license.
That's so amazing. I mean, I'm so shocked by it, honestly. Okay. So let me ask you this. So what, I mean, you're such a baller. I mean, and you're female and seemingly fearless. I mean, my question is, you've now built different parts of your brand and different parts of your business. Do you ever lack this sort of like, do you ever not trust your instincts? Do you ever question like, this will never work? Why am I doing this? Like, or do you ever like, what's the fear? What, like, do you have very real fear? Do you find that do you get pushback? Do you ever feel like you're in a man's world, or do you feel like you have a strong voice that really is not met with the like, oh, Tina, you're crazy, or like, just stop. Like, don't, you know what I mean?
I get told that all the time. When I wanted to do the sculpt arm compound, what I told to our Italian chemists, they're males, I said, I want to create invisible space for the arms. And they're like, what? That's how we start. When Tina has a crazy idea and Tina will say, oh, I want to glow like a 5-year-old. I'm like, you know how 5-year-olds glow right here, but not the T-zone.
You actually are glowing from there. I'd like to point that out, that you guys can't see her, but she's literally radiant right up at the upper cheekbone.
Never greasy.
No.
Yeah. No, that's the super, because the super, that's what the super does for you. And then when I told them about that, they're like, that's crazy. How's that going to work? No. Then, it takes them sometimes a few months, sometimes it takes them a year. But with the sculpt, it took us almost 3 years, because when they finally figured it out, they're like, okay, we figured it out. We got your invisible Spanx for the invisible shapewear for the arms. And so I do get pushed back, but I have imposter syndrome. Like, even talking to you today, I was like, what am I going to talk about? Why do people care? I'm so bored. There's nothing interesting about me. I'm not a celebrity. So I'm always like, why do people want to listen?
No,
like,
that's not true.
I think it's something funny to say, because people are going to be so bored, they're going to turn off, and then Rachel will be like, I shouldn't have had her on, so I have all those thoughts all the time. But
we are the same people. I just want you to know that. We actually are so similar. It's absolutely insane.
I know, but that's what drives us. Like, I have to keep working. People are like, you can stop working. But I started working with a life coach, and I talk to myself now. In the morning, I'm like, I tell myself things like, you're going to do amazing. Like, you're amazing, sweetie. I'm my own Kris Jenner. I'm my own momager. You're amazing, sweetie.
My own Kris Jenner.
You have to tell yourself that. Yeah. Another bad thing is I'm an asshole. I ask everyone their opinion and I never listen. So people call, so I'm an asshole. I'm like, so I'll ask opinions from so-and-so, and then they'll tell me, and I'm like, no, I'm still going to do it my way. But I just want to hear what everyone else thinks. And as far as being a man, definitely all the time, because men they're wired differently. If I have to go on a brand trip or something and the partner happens to be male, I'll be like, well, I gotta see what my son's doing. And I remember a couple of times, this is like probably 5-6 years ago, someone said, oh, stop using the mom card. It was a gay male who's close. I literally ripped his head off. I'm like, what mom card? Like, this is serious things I think about. Like, I can't stay the whole, fashion.
Yeah, of course. I'm
going to come strategically and think about the shows I'm going to go support and the shows I'm going to go work at.
Same.
And I have to bring home a paycheck, because I'm not just out here, I got to eat, I got to feed my kid, especially now. Right. And so I feel that, and especially being Asian on top of it.
Yep.
I've definitely, been told certain things like what, Asians all have great skin. So just very dismissive but I think I always stand strong in my beliefs. Mm-hmm. I'm not easily swayed, even though I do get influenced. Like, if you post something, I want to buy it, but I'm not easily influenced when it comes to things I want to do. And I think you're the same way.
Yes.
I know what I want to do. And even if I'm like, you know what, even if it turns out to be wrong, I have a plan B.
Right. And also you had to get there yourself. And Roger always goes to me, why do you ask me my opinion? You're going to do what's in your head anyway, but you're asking
You're an asshole like me.
100%. I'd like to point out that Tina and I are 5 days apart. And I'm finding, because I am a huge believer in horoscopes and birth signs, and I stand by that. My fellow Virgos
I'm
are.
August 24. What are
I'm
you?
September 1. So
Yeah.
6 days.
Yeah.
But I mean, so here's another interesting question, and then I'm going to let you go back to your life soon. But so something that I don't get asked often enough, but I do speak about. So I asked you if you felt pushback from men. Have you had pushback from women? Because I've had tons in my career.
Oh yeah. I feel like sometimes even worse than men, right?
Me
They
too.
always talk, when people talk, I'm like, males are easily intimidated. If you get in their face and be like your thing, they're like,
of course.
But females, right? The glass ceiling, like who's setting it's other females.
Sure.
Which is why, but I think in this, our generation in this new era of life, I think we're really conscious of that now. And we try to be really supportive, and also we find our tribe, right?
Yes.
So especially with, what's going on in my personal life, it's been really surprising the friends who have come out of the woodworks and, people like even you, and just, I'm like, oh my God, so touching. I don't see you guys all the time, but you reach out. How are you doing? And I love the support that we have now. And I think the most important thing is to be the friend that you want.
100%.
So if you're a person who's always getting screwed, I'm like, well, are you screwing other people? Because I don't really, obviously there's going to be women who are, then I just stay away from them. I mean, you see those people who push back and do the things. You're like, okay, that's not a support. She's not
100%. And I think
not my person.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's nothing better than great women. You know what I mean? But I do think that there aren't such great women. And I think that as you get older, I think those are the things that you have to mentally really come to terms with and pick your people, and pick your people.
Also have sympathy for them, because I always feel like she's trying to cock block you. Like, what is going on in her life?
Yeah.
And why is she angry and miserable? So I try to talk to them, and sometimes people are like, don't patronize me. I'm angry. I'm like, I'm not patronizing. I'm just trying to talk to you, because I always try to find out, like, what's the problem? Like, what happened? How can we fix it?
Yep.
I'm a fixer. So are you. And I think that's why people don't really get mad at us. We're not very polarizing.
I agree. Right? Now, okay. So last question, because I've been thinking about this a lot lately. What would you have told your 19-year-old self that you really didn't know and you really wish you did?
I love this. Stop worrying about what others are thinking about you, because they're not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. Because that's what I lived my life, like worried. Oh, no, what if that person knows? Oh, God, what if that person knows?
Me too.
I'll tell myself, they're not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. Who cares? I wish I knew that. I would have made different decisions probably. I have no regrets with the way I led my life, but I would have done a lot of things differently.
Same.
Had I, right?
Same. 100%.
Not worry.
100%. And I think we spend a lot of time doing that. And it's funny because I speak to young people so much and they're like, what's your best advice? I'm like, just you do you.
Yes.
You do you. And I think that's not something that you learn until you're older, but I think it's up. I think it really, people need women that are a bit older to say, like, trust me on this. You know how like you yell at your children, not yell at them, but like, I said to Skylar the other day, he was like, Mom, you put me in pants and long sleeves and everybody else was in shorts. I'm like, it was 47 degrees and raining. Why you can't wear shorts? And he was like, and I was like, and she said you're shivering in library. And I was like, you're a leader. You're not a follower. Stop. Like, stop. But
it's hard because I always try to tell my son, I'm like, make your own decision. So even when he was really little, I remember standing at Toys R Us for, I'm not kidding you, over an hour. Cause he goes, Mama, you choose. And I go, no, you have to choose your own toy. He's like, no. So I really wanted to teach him to make your own choices in life. And I still do that with him when he, even just the littlest things, because what are we doing? We're really just ready to, at 17, we're just ready to launch them. Right. So now, and so I think if you start really early and you think about, and I read that when he was very young, if you think about launching your kids by the time they're 5, everything you'll do, the way you raise them, the way you speak to them, it's preparing to launch them. If you have that in your head that I'm raising this child to launch them as adults.
What if you never want to launch them?
I know that's me. Well, I'm launching with him.
What if we never want to launch them? Then what happens?
I'm launching with him. I'm going to move with him to LA when he goes to USC, and then I'll be able to see you all the time. I'll come over and I'll be with you. I'll borrow your kids.
I literally just hope my kids go to school in California. And then Roger, of course. But then you know what Roger said, of course, because this is how we like. This is the two of us. I go, oh my God, I want them to go to UCLA or USC or Berkeley, somewhere in California. And Roger goes, no, they should go somewhere that isn't California. So they live life somewhere else back. And like, da-da-da. I was like, what? I'm like, what do you know? So yes,
that's the thing.
Boy moms. Boy moms. Boy moms. Yep. Here we are. Well, I love you madly. I think you're just one of the most amazing, like lifting girl, badass, like inspirational women. And I'm so lucky that, you know, I've gotten to spend so much time with you with, you know, the Hilton clan, because I think Tina and I have been auditioning for Kathy's like fifth daughter. I mean, really third, but you know, now she has Tessa. So, you know, we're losing ground. We're losing ground.
I know. She just called me the other day. She was like, what is that thing you're zapping your face with? Do I need it? You know, she's so funny. I can spend hours on the phone with her, and she's always texting at like 3 a.m.
So. You know, I saw Kathy out last night and Rick, and what was so beautiful was I got to, as I'm talking to Rick and Kathy, I just finished talking to Tessa and Barron. And for those of you that don't know, Barron is Paris and Nikki's brother, one of their brothers, who is married to this angel of the most magically beautiful angel with its spirit, so the sweetest, loveliest girl named Tessa. And I looked at Tessa and Barron sitting on the couch talking to each other. And then I was talking to Kathy and Rick over here. And I was like, they're the next Kathy and Rick. I was just watching it. They're so beautiful and so magical and so
are Paris and Carter, and so are Nikki.
Just beautiful.
And you know what it is, and James, because they had that example.
I agree.
So I always say, Kathy, send me that text that Rick sent you, because they send each other the sweetest things. I'm like, because that's what I want.
They are. Let me tell you, for those of you that don't know. I mean, so everybody knows of the Hilton family, obviously. But I just want to say, and I think Tina and I will close on our love for the Hilton family just because. But I think it's important to know that as well known as they are and as everything, they are the kindest, most loving, hilarious family that just live life to the absolute fullest and just deeply love each other. And it's a really loyal, honestly, loyal beyond. And
it's all from the matriarch, right? It's
totally.
Kathy and Rick, both of them 100. Setting that example of true love. I mean, Kathy traveled to Italy with Nikki and I this summer. She had never gone to Europe without Rick. So
by the way, I've never gone without Roger since I've been with him.
That's you guys too. You have that same love. When I saw you guys at the wedding and I was admiring your jewelry, he runs up and he was like, isn't it gorgeous? Like, he just loves being a part of everything you're in, and just like, it looks so good on her. Like, it's the best. And, it's a true partner in life, in love. And that's what I want.
You're going to have that, lady. Tina, manifest it. It's all happening.
Yes,
it's all happening. Well, on that note, my love, I love you madly. I'm so impressed with you. And for those of you that don't know, U Beauty, it is next level skin changing. And if you go on Tina's Instagram, you can see her dewy skin, because it's live. It's in real life. It's not filtered. It's for real. I'm a diehard. And it happens to be, by the way, my favorite product of all is in the holiday edition, winter edition of Curator, and it is next level. It's so, I'm on like my fifth bottle, I think, actually.
I'm obsessed with those boxes because I think they're so, because it's like having Rachel Zoe dress you, right? Everything she sends, you're like, okay, it got the okay. I can wear this, I can wear that. Really, that's what they want. Everyone just wants a tip from an expert like you. That's why I think that is such a genius. When you started, I'm like, genius. I don't want a box from somebody else. I don't even know who these girls are, who that person is. No offense to them, but I want a box from Rachel just because she's curated it for you. And she's the stylist that everybody wishes they could afford to have in their closet every day. And so with these boxes, I feel like I have Rachel, and once a month I get Rachel.
That's so funny because that's actually, people always say, why did you start Curator? And I always say, because I wanted to style as many people as I possibly could. So I love you. Wait, I also love that mug. You guys can't see, but she's holding the, how many ounces is that?
I think it's like 500 ounces. It's so big. Like, it's bigger than my head. And
It's
inside
actually bigger
my peak tea and my
oh
college.
God, I
Look
love
how big it is.
so much.
And it's like I'm just like drinking my tea.
I'm
self-caffeinated, so
oh
it's
my
just
God.
my tea.
I'm going to drink some collagen tea so I look like Tina.
I'm gonna send this to you. I'm gonna send this to you.
All right, I love you madly. Thank you so much for being on. And
Thank you for having me.
I'll see you after the holidays.
Yes.
Bye, my
I'll
sweet.
See you soon. Okay, bye.
Bye, Angel. If you want more Climbing in Heels content, follow me on @RachelZoe and @ClimbingInHeelsPod on Instagram for more updates on upcoming guest episodes and, of course, all things Curator. See you next week. Mwah.